I've been reminded on my YouTube channel that I probably shouldn't have green stars, and these are getting pretty close to being green. And I also was thinking that well, if I had green stars I would then have a green horizon line, and after the last video where they've got the sinusoidal horizon line, that made me think I could maybe use the horizon to create a special effect. So that's what we'll look at in this. So I'm just going to get rid of everything in this scene for the time being, and just delete the content that I've added. I think there's a large star field here. There we go, get rid of that. And then I'm going to drop the camera down so we're pointing at the horizon, facing north, like so. You can see that this is a sort of turquoise colour. Let's shift that spectrum a bit with the atmosphere, modify this so we've got a bit more green in it. Let's make it a bit more of a green horizon, which would give us green stars. It also gives us this very bright line, and I thought that could be useful. So what I'm going to do is turn the stars off temporarily, right, and then modify the document setup so it's 2 to 0. What can we go down to on here? 0. Thank you. So what's that given us? A long thin strip with a bright line down the middle. Okay, so I'm going to save that, export image as background 6, then that can be its own mask. So I can use this, if I just now do revert to saved, to create a special effect. So what I'll do is go to the create shelf, use my little fella here, this gold guy, find this background, and then copy and paste it in so it becomes its own mask. Then where's that been put? It's been put somewhere down out of sight, so we'll just lift it up into view for the time being and modify the material. So we want it, it's sorted out its own masking of transparency, but we want it to be ambient rather than diffuse. So hopefully it's going to fully transparent at the top and the bottom, and it's lit up in the middle, and that should give us this, what I hope looks like a laser effect. So if I can just interrupt myself a moment there, as was the case with the first scene and the first video, I'm going to change the direction of this slightly, because this is the direction I headed in, to avoid getting kneecapped by angry copyright lawyers. So we'll abandon this idea, and build this scene in a different direction. So what I'm going to do is load in my new space station, so that'll be scene 1 version 2, and I'm going to add that model to my object library, and then we'll incorporate this special effect in a different way. So here's my space station thing, and I can just go to the create little arrow there, find somewhere to save it. Now if I save it like this, I don't suppose it really matters, I can bring it in straight, or I could, before saving it, go Control Alt and click on one of these control handles that'll square it up, side view, keyboard shortcut 3, and then I'm just going to drop it down to the origin like so. So it's at the origin all tidied up nice and square, and then I'm going to add that to the library somewhere in a random way and hopefully find it again. So I'll just add it just here. There we go. Check out of there. Make sure that you close your libraries. If you've got 2 versions of Bryce running, as I have, then if you've got one library open, whether it be the materials or objects, as in this case, then if you don't close it, the other version of Bryce that you've got open, your other instance won't be able to access the same library. So if I now go back to my scene that I intend to modify, go to the create library and go down to where I'd saved that, click on that, open it, see where it comes in. Okay, so you can see here this has come in and it's been lifted up from the origin its own height. So I'm going to set that back down again just to make some modifications easy. Switch back to my main camera view, keyboard shortcut 1, save the current camera position, switch back to side view, and then I'm going to position my camera at the origin, take the rotation off it, and then just use the command here. Let's see what we're in. We're in world space. If I go Z, that'll take it back a bit, and then I should be able to see the front of my model, and that looks like that at the moment. And there is this opening in the front to, well, I don't know, admit spaceships presumably, and I thought I could use my special effect on that instead. So if I bring the camera in a bit closer, try to do it on the Z axis. Here we go, and look at the opening in greater detail. I can line that with my effect. That's my idea. So I'm going to create a standard Bryce cube and drop that down onto the origin, and you'll see that this is not the easiest process, but there is something that will help us here. In the display modes we can have default mixed, and in that case I can now somewhat align the rendered image with my wireframe view. So if I render the bit out that I'm interested in, which is this opening, and then I can position my cube in the opening, which is here in front of the camera. It gets a bit confusing sometimes with all these views, so I'm going to do that back to the default wireframe for setting this up. So I move that along the Z axis, zoom in with my magnifier. The opening's here in the front somewhere, so I'm going to shrink this cube down and zoom back slightly, try and figure out where this opening is, somewhere here. Switch to my main view and then go back to mixed again. I can now enlarge this width wise and scale it down. I'm just trying to fit it inside the opening like so, and then I can save this camera position maybe for adjustment, go back to the wireframe view and then lift my camera up, point it down at an angle. This model's quite small and the camera movement's quite large. So there we go, that's that cube, and hopefully that's fitting inside the doorway now. I'm going to narrow this cube, so if I hold Alt key down it will narrow it in both directions, and then apply my material to it when I've got it more or less the size I'm after. So there we go. Right, now I should have probably applied the material first because it might not be the right orientation, but let's give it a go anyway. So material, ambient, picture, texture source editor, empty square, find my effect here, then copy and paste it so it becomes its own alpha mask, and then give it ambient output not diffuse, set the transparency, make it additive. Oop, that's gone rather bright. Let's see, I'll not bother using the alpha mask then, I'll just do it like so. Then I can use actual selection and see which way it's applied to my selection. So my idea was to have it running around the outside. At the moment parametric's not giving me that effect, so I'm going to use object space potentially. It's lit front and back. Object top, that's done it. So object top, it's hollow at the front because it's partially buried in the ground because of its position, and lit up along the edges. So if I check out of here now, hopefully it will have lined the inside of my opening into the space station with this glowing line. Now I've done that, what I shall do is select the group that's the space station, ungroup it, then hold the control key down, left click and select this new cube. By holding the shift key I can add that to the selection and then group it all together, then return to my original camera position, so I'm now looking up into space, and then I get my space station and just lift it up into the view, maybe shrink it down a bit. I don't know what it's going to look yet because I don't know what the lighting conditions are in this scene. So let's just fire that up, and you can't quite see the effect there. So what I really want is to have this space station being quite a large feature in the sky, so I can see the effect I've made, and then there's this lit up area just inside that I've added. Use object space and see if I can rotate it. Oops, not along that axis. Use Ctrl Z to go back, so rotate my station a bit, and then what we got, well, planets and with atmospheres and things mixed in here. So I'll move that back, asteroid, move that back out the way there. Be careful not to allow things to collide with the any nebular effects. We've got this nebular effect here, and if the atmosphere collides with the nebula, even though it's, I'll just move that back there, then you will have problems. So I get my planet assembly, move it around in my main view, and my asteroid, move that around somewhere so it can peep through the bits of the space station. So this is looking quite an interesting image, but I'm just trying to tidy things up a bit. So there we go. Will we see the asteroid? Will we not see the asteroid? So there we go. We can see the planet in the background, and you've got these illusions of scale and some interesting lighting going on. It'll take a little while to render, so I'll allow that to render out, and that can be one of my example scenes, and then I might look at adjusting it once again. So you can see there, that's where I've fitted my special effect in. Okay, right, so I'll pause the video here and let this render out, and then I'll save this as an example scene, and then maybe rejig it so we've got another one. Okay then, let's just pause the video. Okay, so that's rendered out now. I'm going to use this to demonstrate a solution to another problem that you may run into. Now if I just make this space station a little bit smaller, so make it a bit smaller and put it down in this corner, for example. So let's position just here. Right, now this, when it's off to one side, particularly when you've got a wide field of view, I'll widen it up a bit more. So let's see, widen that field of view a bit more. You can see, oh, the horizon lines come into play there, so I'll just tilt that back, right, and have another go at positioning. So here in this scene, the space station isn't looking very round, and that could be a problem. So what if I want to position this in my scene, but I want it to look like it's round, not distorted in this way, but I still want to take advantage of having the wide field of view so I can get more stars in my scene, maybe produce a bit of drama with this asteroid. I don't know. I've not really thought that through yet. I'm mainly concerned about solving this round problem for you. So the way to do that, oh, I can't see any light on that now. Okay, we'll solve that problem in a minute. We'll deal with one thing at a time. So what I'm going to do, whoops, I seem to have managed to get rid of the light source for that as well. Maybe it's linked for that, or we've covered it up somewhere, or it's fallen into the shadow of the asteroid. Move that back. Let's see if that cures the... Alright, so the light source from somewhere is falling on that, so I'll just have to bear that in mind. Or I could just stop the asteroid casting that shadow, or get the light along it in a different position. Now some compositional choices for later. Let's not get sidetracked just yet. So here we go. I've got my object. What I'm going to do is capture that. So I'm going to launch a separate instance of Bryce, and I'm going to choose a lighting setup for it. So I'd saved it to the library already, and it was just here, and so I'm going to position this so that it's on the origin, and likewise get my perspective camera and position that on the origin also, and then just pull it back a bit. Now perspective might present me with some problems here, among other things, but we'll see how we get along with this, and you know, the trying out of doing it will also be a good test. So I'll just fit that into a square aspect ratio image and turn the atmosphere off and set it to fully black, and then move my light source round, and bear in mind that these effects here are driven from the ambient channel, so I'm going to set the global ambient up to get the most out of those, and then just move my light source around a bit so that it's lighting things up in an interesting way. Right, so what have we got? I've got this ground plane that I don't need, and that will allow my entire thing to get lit up. So I'm going to have this rendered with an object mask first of all, and I need my object selected for that to work. So I'll select that group and then we'll render it. Now I might run into problems with some of these shapes if they've got transparencies, and I don't want that. So on a temporary basis, my light sources, which aren't needed for this but are on this default family, I'm going to hide them so that I'm just capturing the shape of the geometry there. I need to select my group again, Right, you can see now that those little bits there, these little corners, are going to vanish. So I'm just getting a mask for my geometry. So I render that out, and I'm going to save that. So File, Export Image, and I'll save that. Oh, we've got to go upper level, and find somewhere appropriate. Which background was it? This one here. So background 7, V2. Mask, so I've saved that. Now I shall turn my masking off, so just click on the object mask and render the image. I want my light sources back, so just go to the family that they're in, go to the attributes, unhide them, and give them a render. So now that will bring my light sources back, the illusions of them, the glowing area around them, which is not really part of the light. It's just to create an illusion that we're looking at bright light sources. It's the light really, and just render that out, and this is going to be combined in this scene. Now I'm going to get rid of my space station from this because I'm going to use that image, and to do that I think I might have this saved at the origin already, so I'm just going to click this view and see from the side view. Yes, I'd already got that position saved from an earlier load. So what I need to do now is I'm going to go into the create shelf, click on this little gold fella, select an empty square, navigate to my new alpha mask. I can copy and paste that into there, ready for when I can load my image in, but I can get this set up already. So I'll drop this down to 0, so it's going to be aligned on this, and link it to the perspective camera so that when I go back to my original camera position it'll be pulled into the appropriate location. And in the material, what I'm aiming to do is use this alpha mask transparency here, and what I'm going to need is the ambient color to drive this. At the moment I don't have any output that I can use yet, but it shouldn't be long before this one's rendered out, and then I can use this image combined with the alpha mask. It's just getting past these light sources, so it should go a little bit quicker than just the anti-alias path. Bear in mind you might not have to render the image quite as large as this example. It all depends on the resolution of your final image. So to be on the safe side, I always render these a little bit larger so that I've got room to make adjustments. So we just wait for that to render out. Come on. Okay, so I'll file, and then I'll do export image and locate where that's going to be exported to. So I should have one in here, background 7, this one here, so call this one V2, save that, then go back to this texture source editor and load, and then I've got to find that now wherever I hid it. There we go. Was it in here? Yes. And there it is. So that's my new space station. Check out of that. So hopefully now, hello, this seems a bit odd. Something's gone amiss there, I think. Let's see what it looks like in the render. Oh, that looks okay there. So it was just a preview. Probably. Well, it seems to have corrected itself now. I don't know why that was. That's a mystery, but everything's okay. So at this point, because I've already linked this to the perspective camera, when I restore my camera position, which is pointing up at the sky somewhere, my space station is now here. Which means, because I chose the light to be in the more or less the top right there, I wanted to widen the field of view, didn't I? So let's try and widen in that field of view. So long as I adjust it in this view, I'll tilt it back, you see it continues to track with the camera. So long as I adjust it, when I place it down here and enlarge it maybe a bit and then give it a quick render, it will remain looking round and not horribly distorted. So if things are in the middle, it's not such a problem, but as things move to the outside edge, then you get this problem. I'll just move this cluster around. There we go. Out the asteroid with the light clipping over the edge of it, and this hopefully is reasonable lighting to fall on the space station here. Let's check my ambient output. That's okay. So I'm going to move this planet because of the wide field of view closer to the center, so that's going to look round, and I've got another object there which is no, this one, no, I can't figure it out yet. This galaxy, yes, I'll move that up here. You get away with tilting these over to a certain extent on the 2D objects, but beyond that, then if you're looking on the edge too much, it becomes obvious. So I know it's not fantastic, but this is another way of solving problems with the distortion that you experience when you have objects that are moving towards the edge of the field of view on wide angle shots with the standard perspective camera. Horo and I do produce a product called lenses and filters that include some wide angle lenses, and because of the property of those lenses and the barreling that they provide, then that offers another solution to the distortion problem, but in a way it introduces its own kind of distortion, but it's very interesting. I just thought I'd mention that in passing. So there you go, I'll render this out and this can be the other example scene for this video. So I hope you found that interesting and potentially useful for your own scenes, and that you will enjoy using this product. Cheers now.